A lot of road accidents are exactly just that, accidents. On the flip side, many of the quote unquote accidents that happen are not accidents at all. What I mean is that someone made the choice to drive like that. I think a lot of people drive like maniacs because they know most people aren't going to do anything about it, because they'll land in jail for assaulting someone and end up with a lawsuit on their hands. And they know the police have better things to do and won't give a frog's fat ass about their GoPro video of someone cutting them off in traffic. But as infuriating as people's actions on the road can be, I sometimes try to give them the benefit of the doubt. Because one thing I've realized and learned over the years is that you never know what other people are going through in their lives. Someone may have cut you off because they were rushing to the hospital because a family member was about to die, or someone's wife was about to give birth. Maybe they lost control of the vehicle because they are elderly and have a difficult time seeing well and have no one else to drive them somewhere. And maybe they just simply didn't see you on your motorcycle. Here's a list of 6 dangerous riding habits. Unfortunately, I think it's a fact at this point that people are never going to stop using their cell phones while operating their vehicles. Next time you're stopped at a busy intersection, look how many people driving past you have their faces down looking at them. It's honestly ridiculous. People live and die by their phones, and they know they're not supposed to text and drive. Even with cell phone laws in place, people continue to disregard them and are still messing with their smartphones in every type of traffic at all times of the day. On motorcycles, I've seen people riding around, knocking on windows of cars when stopped at intersections, yelling at people to get off their phone, telling them how dangerous it is for us riders out there. While cell phone use on the road is dangerous to everyone, it's certainly more dangerous to bikers. But since people in general become defensive when they're told what to do, especially by a stranger, they will probably not like you trying to tell them what to do. They may just ignore you, get mad at you, and tell you to mind your own business, and will most likely still stay on their phones. Unfortunately, the point is that the majority of people will only learn from their bad habits if something drastic happens to them, like if they get a ticket or they end up in an accident because of texting and driving. This is not going to happen just from someone yelling at them to put their phones down. I've seen bikers get into accidents trying to get others off their cell phone, and people nearly get into fights over it also. Here's just one example of what I'm talking about.
Put down your fucking phone. You're in your car.
There are a lot of YouTube videos showing this. People on the road don't care whatsoever that others don't approve of what they do, and anything you say will mostly go in one ear and out the other. I feel it's best just to stay away from these people because they're only one of thousands who are doing this around you and are not going to stop. So enjoy your ride and focus on your safety and enjoyment. Those are what matter the most. One thing I see some riders do is a specific reaction to cars around them. If someone cuts them off or tries to pull into their lane, or whatever the case may be, instead of using their horn, they'll pull their clutch in and rev their engine high as a way to announce their presence and let the driver know they are making a mistake. The problem with this is that everyday people are used to hearing and reacting to the sounds of car horns that they've heard their entire lives. If they're driving and hear a motorcycle revving up, they may not know what that sound is and could end up getting confused and disregard it, or they can possibly have a more unpredictable and dangerous reaction to it, putting you into even more danger. They may swerve into you, hit their brakes, or have a dangerous reaction that may not have happened if the motorcycle's horn was used. Bikes are equipped with horns for a reason, and that reason is safety first. Someone on their bike will be riding well over the speed limit, and someone in a car far ahead of them will most likely not be able to see them. The person in the car pulls out into the street, and the biker blames them for being a bad driver. The truth is that some people may not be able to see somebody coming from that far away, or may have slower reactions than others. In many instances, the person in the car normally didn't do anything wrong, but the biker treats them like it was a personal attack against them. Aside from being a quick way to get into an accident, this seems pretty discourteous to other people on the road. People are always going to speed, and putting the blame on others for personal actions isn't too healthy. Making enemies while driving is unsafe, and I really think bikers as people are better than that. Most of the road rage incidents I've seen or been involved in over the years while driving my car were the same situation. Your cars will be next to each other, you'll yell back and forth at each other for 20 seconds and flip each other off, and neither person is listening to the other one whatsoever. Both parties will then speed off, and then you'll never see that person again for the rest of your life. The result of the whole matter, nothing was solved, the person isn't sorry, and you're just in a bad mood for the rest of the day. If someone does something to you in traffic while you're riding and then speeds off, they obviously don't care enough to stop or hear what you have to say. They speed off and the biker goes after them. As soon as you begin speeding up in your bike to catch them, to give them a piece of your mind, you're instantly putting yourself in more danger, and this time you could really end up in a bad accident, or an expensive speeding ticket at the very least. That person might also brake check you, throw something out the window at you, or try to run you off the road. Check out the Moto Madness videos on YouTube and you'll see what I mean. When these situations happen to me, I'll admit it does upset me big time, and I want to go catch that person and do something about it, but I don't. I feel it's just not worth it putting myself in more danger than I already am being on a motorcycle. That person is a lot safer in their vehicle than I am, and there are a lot of crazy people out there who just don't care. So as I mentioned earlier, I know I'll never see that person ever again, so I just make a point to... I know it's a personal choice to wear protective gear, but it still amazes me how many people ride motorcycles without it. It just makes sense to do it, to me at least. I mean, would a firefighter go into a blaze with no protective gear on? Would a NASCAR driver get into a race without a safety suit, seat belts, and window nuts? Whether you're on the front or back of the bike, safety gear should be priority one. I come across these safety issues all the time. People wearing shorts, sneakers, t-shirts, no helmets, no gloves. It seems crazy, but at the same time, I get it, and I understand how liberating it feels to have no safety restrictions like that. I understand that people want to look cool on their bikes and want to be seen by others. However, if they have a bad wreck, I'm pretty sure they won't look too cool in a hospital all messed up or being the main attraction at a funeral home when even a little bit of safety gear like a helmet could have made all the difference in the world. These tools are there to help people and are worth the money. Even cheap gear would help. As the old saying goes, prevention is much less expensive than treatment. The protective gear is probably going to cost a lot less than hospital bills will, and even if the motorcycle driver isn't wearing protective gear, at least have the passenger on the back wear it, because we're all in charge of other people's lives when we take someone else for a ride. This has been said countless times, but I think it needs to be reiterated again and again. Don't assume people see you on your motorcycle. The reason is that people are used to seeing the shape of cars. They may miss a slim profile motorcycle coming towards them at high speed and pull out in front of them as if they weren't even there. I see people make attempts to pull out of their driveways in front of me all the time, and it's just something I know I have to be prepared for. As an example, I was riding a back road last summer and I see this guy backing his car down his driveway quickly as I was approaching. He suddenly stopped very hard at the end of his driveway, and because of that, I just assumed that he saw me. I just kept going without slowing down, then suddenly he backs into the street right in front of me. It was so close that emergency braking wouldn't have prevented a collision, so I swerved around him into the left lane, and as I did that, I see an SUV coming right towards me. Thank God that SUV driver was paying attention and stopped, because that would have been a head-on crash at 45 miles an hour. That scenario was completely 100% my fault for assuming that guy in his driveway saw me, and me mistakenly not slowing down and preparing myself. Thankfully nothing happened, but that was a hard, very important lesson learned. I always try to keep this in my mind while I'm riding, because being on guard and prepared for anything at all times is one of the most important aspects of keeping safe. Motorcycle riding is one of the most enjoyable things I've ever done, and I think most people who ride would agree, and being and staying safe makes it that much more enjoyable. Thank you everybody for watching, and ride safe.